Hello everybody, Theater 237 Stage Makeup. This week is Blood and Gore. We will be working on a few techniques, including latex with cotton balls, spirit gum, there's the cotton balls, we'll have blood, you'll need Q-tips or cotton swabs for those, your bruise wheel, and your stippling sponge. You also need your nose and scar wax, along with your eyebrow brush that has the scoop on it, and some Vaseline for that. So I'm going to get started with the spirit gum and making my deep cut on my cheek. You're going to want to follow my directions exactly how I'm doing it. So just follow along. I'm placing down some spirit gum in the shape that I would like my deep cut to be. I'm imagining this is a very large cut on my face, maybe even some sort of a werewolf talon. Claw? Talon. Claw. Not a bird. You can see my spirit gum shape there. I'm going to let it dry. You're going to want it to get tacky. It's going to be more like a liquid and it needs to be tacky. There's my cotton ball. I'm finding the end of it and then I'm going to unroll it. It's kind of like a hay bale. Hopefully the cotton balls you have at home are similar to this style. If you don't, you should be able to use another style too. So just unrolling that, I'm going to take a couple pieces off of it and then I'm going to make these little cotton ball snakes, as I like to call them. There we are. We're taking apart that cotton, making it kind of a smaller size. The size of the cut that I'm making is quite large. You don't have to make your little snakes or your cut as big as I am. I am being dramatic, as usual, with my makeup design. And then I'm checking my spirit gum. It's tacky to the touch, and I am applying my cotton ball snake straight onto the spirit gum. I'm pulling off the excess there, just gently. I find that I have a little tail that I need to add a little bit more spirit gum to, so I'm going to put that under there and let that get tacky as well and continue working. The other side of my spirit gum should be ready to go, so once I get my little snake ready, I will go ahead and place that down onto that spirit gum too. Just twisting that cotton, making it a shape that I want. And then I'm going to place my cotton there. I have a little bit of a tail, so just kind of gently pulling some of the cotton away so it's the shape that I want it to be. Okay, I'm laying down that edge now that my spirit gum is tacky, and I'm going to go back in and add more spirit gum to that side as well. Letting that air dry for a little bit. That section is a little bit loose as well, so a little tiny bit more spirit gum. Let it get tacky and then push the cotton ball into it. The tips of my fingers are a little bit sticky from the spirit gum, so I'm going to open up the spirit gum remover and get some onto some cotton and kind of clean off my fingers. I don't want my fingers to be sticky. They're going to pull up the cotton or anything else that I'm working on if they are. Looking for a paper towel to wipe that off on, checking the tackiness, and laying down my cotton. So that space right there is going to be where the skin is exposed, and we're going to have kind of some bloody, muscly situation happening. Okay, now it's time for the liquid latex. I have this huge jug. You're going to have that little tiny bottle in your kit. You're going to want to make sure you shake it up, make sure it's all mixed up. Mine's a little chunky because it's older, so some of yours might be as well. It's still workable, it just means that it will actually dry faster, so you'll have to work just a little bit faster than those of you whose liquid latex is still very liquidy. You're going to apply your liquid latex over the top of your cotton and create kind of a seam onto your skin. The latex doesn't go just on the cotton, it also needs to go around the edges of the cotton and onto the skin by the cotton. It kind of creates a blanket of latex versus just on the cotton. If you have questions about that, please get a hold of me via Zoom. You know that I will be waiting for you between 3 and 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for your questions. So just work your way all the way down your cotton ball and your skin, and make sure it's a nice healthy layer of latex. You don't really want to see the cotton poking through the latex, so make sure that it's a good thickness of latex. You'll know if you have too little or too much, because it'll be very chunky if you have too much, and you'll see the cotton if you have too little. My brush here is actually pulling, it's got a sharp edge on it, so it's actually pulling the cotton up and away from my face, which is kind of driving me a little insane, but I don't think your brushes will have that problem. So continue doing this for the next few minutes, and then we will move on while the latex dries to a couple of other techniques for today. Okay, I got that pretty nice and covered. It's still going to be wet. It will be kind of solid to the touch when it is dry. You'll also notice a difference in shininess. It won't be as shiny when it's dry. So now we're going to move on to doing a black eye. I've chosen to do a black eye that it's a little bit older. So I'll be starting with the yellow, then I'll move into red, then I'll move into that kind of brownish red, and then I will move into that kind of purplish gray. Remember, yellow is more healed blood. As blood kind of dissipates and disappears from the center of trauma, it turns into yellow, or greens and then yellows. So I'm creating a base of yellow to put down my other colors onto. I'm softening some of the yellow with my brush instead of my stippling sponge. I just kind of like that look in certain places, so play around with that. Next is red. So remember, your impact point, your major source of trauma, is going to have the darker colors in it. So I am imagining that my eye was hit, and then the blood all kind of settled into that right on top of that bone, the cheekbone, or the eye socket bone there, because gravity is a thing, and that's kind of where the blood would settle. So I'm making that area darker than the rest of it. You'll see me use my brush a little bit. I'm still using a stippling technique, but with my brush. And that's because I want to get a little bit more accurate where I'm putting these darker colors. The stippling sponge is just covers a wider amount of area, and I wanted to be smaller in detail. So now I'm adding that very dark color right into the littlest space. So the darkest place is where majority of the fresh blood sat, and then as it ages and as the bruise heals, it dissipates and turns into the lighter red, and then turns into the yellow. You can make your black eye whatever you want. This is just the shape that I chose. Okay, I'm going to show you the bruise wheel. I used my stippling sponge. I went from yellow to red, to that brownish red, to that purplish gray. That's the order I did. Again, yellow, red, brown, gray. Now I'm going to do a scrape. I'm going to use my red with my stippling sponge, get some makeup on there, and just lightly drag the stippling sponge. Now either I pushed my stippling sponge too hard or I got too much makeup on it, so I'm not super happy with how that looks. So I'm going to do a second one. You can also add that kind of darker color in, stippling it into your scrape to give it a little bit more dimension. Like I said, not super happy, so I'm going to try it a little bit lighter and with less makeup to kind of do a road rash type of scrape. I like that one a lot better. There's a lot more space in between the textures. It's not as dense as the one on the top. Those are two kind of different looking scrapes. Again, adding dimension in by adding those two deeper colors. It's kind of like highlight and shadow, but with color. Okay, we did shallow cut, we did black eye, we started our latex application, and that is actually pretty much ready to go. So in the next video, part 2, I will be adding makeup to that, and I will be showing you how to use nose and scar wax to create a scar. So I will see you in the next tutorial, and have fun!